Okay, girls, so I'm going to pick up where we left off today and move you forward a couple pages so that we can 100% finish tomorrow. So if you look at the left-hand page, right in the dead center, Charybdis is in a square. So we kind of talked about Charybdis at the end. Charybdis is this whirlpool monster that she sucks down anything above her, animals, ships, men, whatever, and she kind of chews on it. She has teeth and she's underground. I did attach some pictures to today's module if you want to take a look. And then when she's done chewing, she spits it out and spews it up like a giant geyser. So that is not really going to be that great to survive, especially if she pulls you in with your ship and all your men. So what we were talking about before was our plan. So we have to go past the sirens. We can either go toward the drifters, which we're not going to do, or we can take the secondary route, which is go past Scylla and Charybdis and continue on that way. So I'm going to pick up reading here where it says, so her advice. So follow me along. I'm going to do the whole page and the next page and then explain. So her advice ran, but I faced her, saying, only instruct me, goddess, if you will, how, if possible, can I pass Charybdis, or fight off Scylla when she raids my crew? Swiftly that loveliest goddess answered me, must you have battle in your heart forever? The bloody toil of combat? Old contender, will you not yield to the immortal gods? That nightmare cannot die, being eternal evil itself, horror and pain and chaos. There is no fighting her. No power can fight her. All that avails is flight. Lose headway there along the rock face while you break out arms, and she'll swoop over you. Now, we're talking about Scylla. I fear once more, taking one man again for every gullet. No, no. Put all your backs into it. Row on. Invoke blind force that bore the scourge of men to keep her from a second strike against you. Then you will coast Thrinacia, the island where Helios's cattle graze, fine herds and flocks of goodly sheep. The herds of flocks are 7, with 50 beasts in each. No lambs are dropped or calves, or these fat cattle never die. Immortal, too, their cowherds are, their shepherds. Palithosa and Lampedia, sweetly braided nymphs that divine Nyria bore to the overlord of high noon, Helios. These nymphs their gentle mother bred and placed upon Thrinacia, the distant land, in care of flocks and cattle for their father. Now give those kind a wide berth, keeping your thoughts intent upon your course for home. But hard seafaring brings you all to Ithaca. But if you raid those beeves, I see destruction for ship and crew. Rough years then lie between you and your homecoming, alone and old, the one survivor, all companions lost. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and explain because the next part kind of goes with the next part. Okay, so going back to this page on the left at the bottom, he is still talking to Circe, right? She's giving him all these directions. So he says to her, he says to her, how can I fight them? Tell me. So that's his instinct, right? He's a hero. He's a warrior. So she replies like, you can't. You really can't. You can't just fight these two monsters, Scylla or Charybdis. It's not in your benefit to do so. So she says on here at the top of the next page, flight is your answer. So you might have heard that phrase before, fight or flight. It's like an instinct. If somebody comes to attack you, are you a turn around and punch him in the face kind of girl? Or are you a turn around and run away as fast as you can kind of girl? Are you a fighter or a flighter? So that's what she says. She says, no power can fight these monsters. Run. Or basically for him, row your boat fast. Okay, and that's what she says here in the second paragraph too. She says, no, put your backs into it and row. This is my advice to you, she says. Okay, then in this paragraph with the little pink highlight on Thrinacia, this is to close out her map for us, right? Sirens, and then the fork in the road, and we're going to take Scylla and Charybdis, and then to finalize the map, you're going to have to go past the island of Thrinakia, and that's where Helios lives. Okay. Normally at this time, I'd tell you to go back to the first page in your book and think about what happens on Helios's island, right? We know all the men die. So what it says here is, okay, so this island is where all these beautiful sheep and animals live, and Lord Helios just loves them to bits and bits. He keeps his daughters there to kind of keep an eye on these animals, and he loves them so much. Obviously, foreshadowing, something terrible is going to happen. So down here at the bottom where you see the writing and the yellow highlight, it says, give those kind a wide berth. Okay, so don't stop on the island, she says to Odysseus. Like, once you pass those two sets of monsters, just keep sailing. Go around this island, do not stop. But she says here, but if you stop and you raid these animals, these beeves of animals, I see destruction for ship and crew. We already know this. We know all the men die because they eat these animals. Here is the story coming. And then what I circled here says, rough years lie between you and your homecoming, old and alone, one survivor, all companions lost. So this is like coming to fruition, what we have already heard about before. So it will take you a long time to get home, and it'll be alone and sad. We know this happens. We know he ends up on Calypso's island for 7 years, etc., etc., etc. Okay, terrific. So now I'm going to start reading here and go to the next page. As Circe spoke, Dawn mounted her golden throne, and on the first rays Circe left me, taking her way like a great goddess upon the island. I made straight for the ship, roused up the men to get aboard and cast off at the stern. They scrambled up to places by the rowlocks, and all in line dipped oars in the gray sea. But soon an offshore breeze blew to our liking. A canvas bellying breeze, a lusty shipmate sent by the singing nymph with sunbright hair. So we made fast the braces and we rested, letting the wind and the steersman work the ship. The crew being now silent before me, I addressed them sore at heart. Dear friends, more than one man or two should know of those things Circe foresaw for us and shared with me. So let me tell her forecast. Then we die with our eyes open if we are going to die, or know what death we baffle if we can. Sirens weaving a haunting song over the sea we are to shun, she said, and their green shore and sweet with clover, yet she urged that I alone should listen to their song. Therefore you are to tie me up tight as a splint, erect along the mast, lashed to the mast, and if I shout and beg to be untied, take more turns of the rope to muffle me. I rather dwelt on this part of the forecast, while our good ship made time, bound outward down the wind for the strange island of Sirens. Then all at once the wind fell and a calm came over the sea, as though some power lulled the swell. The crew were on their feet, each in place. They poised the smooth oar blades and sent the white foam scudding by. I carved a massive cake of beeswax into bits and rolled them in my hands until they softened. No long task, for a burning heat came down from Helios, lord of high noon. Going forward, I carried wax along the line and laid it thick upon their ears. They tied me up, then, plumb amidships, back to the mast, lashed to the mast, and took themselves again to rowing. Soon as we came smartly within hailing distance, the two sirens, noting our fast ship off their point, made ready, and they sang. Okay, so I usually skip the song of the sirens. So to finish up here, these 2 pages, remember, Homer gives us a plan, and then we begin to put the plan in motion. So we are now at the stage where Odysseus is sailing, and he is on his way. So he tells the men, listen, we're going to pass some sirens, and here's the plan. You're going to tie me up so I can hear them, and I'm going to put beeswax in your ears so you don't steer the ship over there. Notice, he does not tell them about the monsters, okay? So this is kind of it. They go through and they hear the sirens. He hears the sirens singing, and nobody is killed here because they kind of navigate it safely. So I'm going to stop this recording here, and I'm going to pick up with the next 2 pages in a second recording.